Hello, welcome to the sideboard here at the Legacy Open in Philadelphia. I'm Nick Miller alongside Wilson Hunter. How you doing, sir?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Always good. Now, we know you a long time back, Top 80 Invitational with Storm, when you were big on that. You're playing a different kind of deck today. Doesn't really do the Storm thing so much, but it can play a lot of spells in one turn for max benefit. Playing Esper Mentor. Why did you choose to play this deck today?
This deck is pretty well-rounded against a lot of decks. I actually helped, our team was building an Eldrazi list, but one of my friends headed up, he didn't have a deck to play, so we gave him Eldrazi. We thought it was a more straightforward deck to play, and I got to play something a little more fun. So.
Right, and this deck is, we've really seen the power of Monastery Mentor lately in Legacy. We see him popping up in Miracles, sideboard out a lot of other decks, but here, this is a dedicated main deck Mentor deck.
Oh yeah.
Take us through what this deck's trying to do, and then what makes your deck a little different from the other versions we've kind of seen.
Absolutely. So this deck, it has the core of Deathrite Shaman, Monastery Mentor. We play a lot of very good cards in the deck, so you see a lot of these decks playing things like Ataxian Probe, maybe Cabal Therapies, Spell Pierces, some more reactive cards that may be dead sometimes. We have a good core of solid cards like Counterspell that even if you top deck it can be relevant later.
Right.
But the really strong part of the strategy here is the counterbalance top part of the deck. Since his Divining Top can sort of combo off with Monastery Mentor, you can make a huge army in one turn with two tops. Since his Divining Top with Monastery Mentor is a big reason why that card is so good in the Miracle sideboards.
Exactly.
So we see that as sort of a difference between this Esper deck and some of the other Esper decks some of the other teams are playing, which is the countertop package.
Right, yeah, we saw sort of the Esper Mentor deck come out at Grand Prix CTAC, where like Sperling, Chapin, those guys kind of played this shell. Of course, incorporating Painful Truths, a card you have here as well.
Absolutely.
But you've kind of trimmed a couple of the cards and added the countertop package to help battle some of the other decks.
Yeah, we think the countertop package is very good against a lot of the tier 1 strategies. It's obviously extremely good against Storm. It's very good against the Delver decks. In the Miracles matchup, it's one of the more important packages. So without countertop, you get in a situation where their Terminuses are extremely good, but in this deck, the countertop war is sort of the most important part. So this is also the reason why we're playing 3 Decays in our sideboard. I know the Channel Fireball team also played some Abrupt Decays in the sideboard, but this helps us leverage our countertop post-sideboard against the Miracles deck, and hopefully we have countertop advantage against them.
Right, so you're trying to assemble that a little earlier than they are, and then you can blow up their pieces if you have to, and then winning from there is pretty trivial.
Yep, that's right.
Okay, so your threats, Deathrite Shaman, Vanillion Click, Monastery Mentor, and then some Snapcaster Mages for value.
Yep.
You also have a Jace here, I assume that can occasionally be a win condition.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Jace is just a bomb card. It's great with the grinding matchups along with Painful Truths.
And yeah, you got your usual blue suite of cards we expect to see, Ponder, Brainstorm, Force of Will. But then we see Dimir Charm here, often overlooked. Charm is pretty good. All 3 modes seem pretty relevant in this type of deck.
Yeah, that's a spicy number. So Dimir Charm countering a sorcery. Sorceries are extremely good right now in Legacy. You have the combo decks of Show and Tell, Infernal Tutor, Miracles, Casting Terminus, things like that. And it also kills a lot of the relevant creatures, so Deathrite Shamans, Unflipped Delvers. And just today I was able to use the mode that you don't use as much, which is the look at the top 3 cards mode, to activate to find a 2-drop for my counterbalance so I didn't have a top in play, and clear the way for get rid of some bad cards.
Right.
So.
Doing it the hard way to set up the countertop.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
Also removal, Swords of Plowshares, and a Vindicate here. Notably, you obviously don't have Terminus, you're not the Miracle Shell, so you got to extend a little bit for some other kind of kill cards.
Yep, absolutely. And we opted to go for Vindicate over Council's Judgment just because it's easier to cast off of the basic lands. The mana base is a pretty important aspect of this deck because the basics can be very important against the Delver decks, Death and Taxes and things like that, so you want to get out your swamp, your plains, and some of your islands against them. All
right, this is one of the few decks in Legacy where you can actually support basic lands and not be too punished. A lot of the 3-color decks can't afford to do that.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. So why is this a powerful deck in the format right now? And have you looked at, you built the Eldrazi deck with your team, but you didn't play it.
Right.
How is this positioned against that deck? That's all the talk this weekend.
Right. We built this deck initially a couple months ago before Eldrazi was on our radar, but we made some significant changes to this deck in the past couple weeks. The Toxic Deluges in the sideboard are very good against Eldrazi. I think it's a very close matchup. I've play tested it quite a bit, and I think I might have a little bit of the edge. You have the Abrupt Decays post-sideboard to deal with their Chalices. The Snap Plow strategy can be very good against their actual Eldrazi. Obviously, the counterbalances are very poor in that matchup, so you want to board those out for some of the other things. So I think it's a pretty close matchup.
Okay, taking a look at the sideboard, like you mentioned before, you already have Abrupt Decays in here. Thoughtseize probably help with the combo matchups, I assume?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a decent number of cards to board out against the combo matchups, and I like to have enough cards to board in whenever you're boarding out your dead cards like Plow.
Toxic Deluge, as you mentioned, more removal in Disfigure, some graveyard hate with Surgical Extraction, and then a couple other extras here. Meddling Mage and Disenchant. Meddling Mage seems great in this kind of deck.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Meddling Mage is very cool. Even though we have the Decays, I always like to have a Disenchant because you want to search for your basics against a deck like Death and Taxes, and I don't really want to board in my Decays because I don't want to search for the Trop. So Disenchant is good against that deck, so.
And you've been streaming with this deck. Talk about your team and what you've been doing with the stream.
Yeah, so we have the Brainstorm Show. We have a podcast. It's at brainstormshow.com. And we are just starting a stream. So it's me and my friends, I guess, like Team Braverman and Paul Michael. And we're just starting up our stream here pretty soon. We've been playing a ton online. Some of the guys on the Source have been supporting us too, so that's been really great.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you're here in the sideboard. Thanks a lot for tuning us in on the sweet Esper Mentor deck. Stay tuned to StarCityGames.com all weekend long for the action here in Philadelphia.